I recall when the news came out that Microsoft was acquiring ABK, the entire industry was a buzz. Everyone was talking, everyone was making content of the possibilities of what would happen if Microsoft, really acquires Activision Blizzard King. One of the main topics that came out from, the news was what was Microsoft going to do with Call of Duty if they acquired Call of Duty? Would they take it off of PlayStation? Would they still put it on PlayStation? What would Microsoft do? How would the marketing on Call of Duty look? Would they put it on Game Pass? All these questions came up when we would have been listening to all the different podcasts, all the different articles. Now, PlayStation fans was really adamant that this cannot go on Game Pass. I mean, they were looking for any news, any sliver of news to say that it is impossible for Microsoft to bring this to Game Pass. And then Tom Warren gave these ponies and the Bias Gaming Media what they wanted to hear. He basically gave them ammunition when he said that he had sources saying this. We kind of knew this already, but Microsoft makes it clear that Sony's deal for Call of Duty includes restrictions on the ability for Activision to place Call of Duty titles on Game Pass for a number of years. So he was saying that Microsoft acquiring ABK and giving Sony a deal meant that they couldn't put ABK games onto Game Pass. Yes, to believe. This is what Tom Warren was saying. After that, the same Tom Warren said that Call of Duty isn't coming to Game Pass. He went on to say that Starfield was going to be in the first round of games going to PlayStation 5. And this is what the gaming media does. I mean, most of you guys should know this already. They put out these type of articles to get a lot of clicks. They call it clickbait. They know that a lot of Xbox fans would have been shocked by this news. They knew that a lot of ponies would have taken this and make a lot of videos and write a lot of articles on this particular topic. So this is how they pay the bills. This is how they they get money from the gaming industry, right? Putting out very silly articles and statements like this. But you know what's funny? It's funny that these ponies ran with it. These ponies ran with exactly what Tom Warren said. And now they look stupid because the exact same thing they were tweeting about, in hindsight, did not come true. And now they look like fools, seeing that the Microsoft would have done opposite to what Tom Warren would have said. Look at some of these tweets they made here back in the day. Alan Freely tweeted, confirmed, Sony has paid Activision Blizzard to keep Call of Duty off Xbox Game Pass for a number of years. Kami tweeted, according to Microsoft, Sony's current agreement with Activision specifically blocked them from adding Call of Duty to Xbox Game Pass for several years. Looks like COD won't be going to Game Pass anytime soon. Peter Ovo tweeted, according to a rumor from Tim Dog, Call of Duty might not launch on Game Pass. Game Pass is unsustainable and the market is not big enough to offset the cost. Red Dragon tweeted, Xbox is considering not putting new Call of Duty games on Game Pass, afraid it's going to kill revenue. So all of these guys bought into what Tom Warren said. All of these guys clearly did not use
a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
But you know what? I expect this from the ponies because they have been lacking a brain for a number of decades. But what I didn't expect this from was from the so-called gaming journalists, the so-called, guys who their job is to do research, to use their critical thinking to see whether a story is cap or if it's true. These guys fell for the same thing Tom Warren said. Look at these articles they said here. Comic Book wrote, Xbox claims PlayStation blocked Call of Duty from Game Pass for years. Nerd Stash tweeted, Sony blocked Call of Duty from Game Pass, says Xbox. Metro Route, Call of Duty will not be on Game Pass even after Activision acquisition, says Xbox. So a lot of these guys really didn't think. A lot of these guys, instead of asking Tom Warren, they would have been way better off asking
Crackhead. I'm John Kennedy, and I approve this message.
Yes, they would have been way better asking a crackhead for rumors and gaming news. Now, I don't know if Tom Warren journalistic skills improved since then, but we will have to wait and see what next he's wrong at. But what's the icing on this cake is that after all of that, Phil Spencer came out and said this.
Today, from our decisions on cloud, on Game Pass, on console, like right now, we have more Xbox console users than we've ever had in the history of Xbox. And even when I look at things like the impact of Game Pass, because I watch that and I love Game Pass, like how it showed up in the show today, I think was fantastic. But we also want people to be able to buy games. So I go back and I look and I say, okay, over the last 5 years, what's happened to third-party game sales on our platform? We're up double digits every year over the last 5 years on game sales on Xbox consoles. So when I look at it, I will just, doing a $70 billion acquisition will push us to try to do more. It'll push us on cloud. It'll push us to go find customers in new places, continue to think about access to amazing games, enabling creators to do great work. But I actually think for the team, that's just a self-motivation that the team has, and it's fun to be a part of.
Black Ops 6 Day 1 Game Pass.
Black Ops 6,
sweet, right? Like,
some people said I wouldn't do that.
So there you have it. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming to Game Pass. So all the guys who are so-called insiders, all the guys who so-called have sources and horses, all of them were wrong. Today we are going to look at more evidence to prove that Sony is very afraid of Call of Duty coming to Game Pass. And it's not me saying that, it is Sony themselves saying it. So you know what? Let's get it!
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. So guys, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. 5,000. I do want to shout out the guys who would have subbed from the last video. Thank you very much for that. But if it is you want the best Xbox content, Xbox news, Xbox reactions, in addition to the POS of the Sony Pony Salt, please consider subscribing. You won't regret it. Now let's go get back to the video. So currently, Sony fans are talking a lot of trash. Sony fans are talking a lot of brain-dead talking points, saying that Sony is killing it, Sony has no competition, Sony is running the industry. Now, while these guys live in their delusion, let me just say, make no mistake, the Sony executives are shocked that the mere fact that Call of Duty is on Game Pass. Now, let me just say, in addition to that, whether Call of Duty sells millions on a PlayStation platform, PlayStation 5, or bring in millions of customers for Game Pass, either way, Microsoft has already won. Because, you know what? 70 is greater than 30. I know some Sony fans, some ponies believe 30% is greater than 70%, but this is a news flash, a news alert, 70 is greater than 30. Wow, I know you ponies didn't know that before, but yes, Microsoft is getting the lion's share when it comes to the sales of Call of Duty, the benefits or the profits of Call of Duty. Now, you might be asking, how do I know that the executives are shook that Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass? Well, I have several reasons. The first reason, I believe that they are afraid of what is happening right now is because what they made Jim Ryan do. Look at this article. You remember when Eurogamer said PlayStation boss reportedly flew to Brussels to appeal Microsoft Call of Duty deal in person? Yes, to believe. The Japanese executives made Jim Ryan, this old frail guy, Lion Jim Ryan, fly to Brussels for hours to attempt to stop the Activision Blizzard deal. Now, if these guys were not afraid of the Activision Blizzard merger and what Call of Duty could do to their platform if it came to Game Pass, then why did they make Uncle Jim Ryan fly to Brussels in person, mind you, to try to stop the deal? But there's more. You remember when Game Raider wrote that PlayStation boss reportedly told Activision execs, "I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger." Yes, if it is PlayStation was not concerned, and it's nothing, it is a small thing that Microsoft is acquiring ABK, then why did he admit that, here what, I don't need a new Call of Duty deal, I need this merger to stop? I don't know about you, but this is sounding like Jim Ryan and the executives, because he represented at the time the entire Sony gaming division, and we all know that Jim Ryan marches to the drum of the higher ups there at Sony. So yes, what he said there really made it look like they are very much afraid, or they were very much afraid of the Activision Blizzard deal, the merger. But the icing on this cake was when he told the CMA this: any degradation of the price, performance, or quality of play on PlayStation, or any delays on release would quickly harm SIE's reputation and cause a loss of engagement and of players. As SIE CEO Jim Ryan explained to the CMA at the remedies hearing, if PlayStation received a degraded version of Call of Duty, it would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover. Wow, this is what Jim Ryan is saying. Jim Ryan is saying Call of Duty is so important to SIE. Call of Duty is basically a lifeline to the survival of any PlayStation platform, that if Microsoft was to do anything with Call of Duty, they would suffer. They could even die. This is what Jim Ryan was saying. Now, when Jim Ryan said this, these ponies didn't believe it. Listen to MBG at the time when he heard this is what Jim Ryan said. There's no way Jim Ryan actually said this. I refuse to believe it. Yes, these guys were so shocked that Jim Ryan would make such a statement, because Jim Ryan is not saying, well, no, it's okay if they got Call of Duty. No, he wasn't saying that, here what, we have bangers, we have first party bangers. This is our lifeline. This is what PlayStation survived on. No, he basically said that PlayStation survived only on Call of Duty. Now, why would he make such a statement? You see, there were multiple reports and studies done that over 1 million PlayStation owners only use their console for Call of Duty and nothing else. Yes, so it's very clear that persons buy the PlayStation platform for only Call of Duty, and I could guarantee you this, it's more than 1 million. That's without a doubt. Although this article talks about 70% solely plays Call of Duty, it really shows that half of these ponies capping on Twitter, they are not the majority. They are just the vocal minority, and the vocal minority when it comes to ponies. The majority of PlayStation fans play multiplayer games only. And guess what? Call of Duty is ahead of the class. This is why it's a big deal that Call of Duty has been released on Game Pass as of this taping. So what is the final straw, the nail in the coffin, to prove that Sony is very, very much afraid of the potential of Call of Duty coming onto Game Pass could do in the long run? Did we remember the Insomniac leaks? Let's look at it here. The theme of this article is industry major shifts and threats. Sony believe that Call of Duty threats would have occurred in 2027. They are saying that when Microsoft acquires Activision for $70 billion, it could disrupt and threaten console gaming and the game subscription market. They believe that the console a shift from PlayStation to Xbox with timing and in-game differentials as the weapon. So in other words, they're saying that if Microsoft decide to make weapons or different add-ons on Call of Duty exclusive to their platform, it could be a threat for PlayStation. They went on to say subscription. Yeah, so if you were to look at the subscriptions, they said Microsoft comprehensive ecosystem coupled with exclusivity creates greater dominance. They said Sony would have been impacted, massive threat to PS Plus, upwards of 1.5 billion of annual revenue threat. So yes, they believe that if Microsoft was to make an exclusive play in any way, shape or form with Call of Duty, it could impact their PlayStation Plus service. It would have been losing $1.5 billion. Now going down, you see the threats. You see that they are thinking that Microsoft could leapfrog over PlayStation if they decide to do anything that is different than Microsoft is doing today with Call of Duty. So yes, Microsoft has PlayStation in the palm of their hands if they decide to do anything with any future Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is what drives PlayStation sales. This is a fact. Now, on a later video, I will go a little more in depth when it comes to this Activision, this Insomniac leak. But it's very clear. Sony and their executives are shook. It's not me saying that. They said it by their actions. They said it by what these leaks show, these Insomniac leaks showed. They said it by how they reacted to Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. I mean, a whole guy lost his job, Jim Ryan. As soon as this deal was closed, Jim Ryan said bye-bye to the gaming industry. So let me hear what you think about Call of Duty coming to Game Pass. Is it a big deal for you? Let me know in the comment sections below. Let me hear, do you think Sony might come out with a bigger game than Call of Duty? Let's say this game name is Concord. Let me know in the comment sections below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.